My name is not important. It could be any girl's name in Pakistan. My story is not rare, but it is mine. I grew up in a small town outside Lahore, in a house filled with laughter, spices in the air, and the sounds of Quran recitation early in the morning. I loved my family deeply, my Ami with her soft voice and endless patience, my Abu with his strong presence, my siblings with their constant noise. I was a good daughter. I studied hard, I prayed, I cooked and cleaned without being asked. In school, my teachers praised me. I dreamed quietly of becoming a doctor one day, the first woman in our family to wear a white coat and heal others. I thought that if I did everything right, life would reward me. I was wrong. The summer after I turned 19, my parents told me a rishta had come from a respectable family, distant relatives from another village. The boy Hamza was settled, working in Dubai. He was 8 years older than me. At first, I thought they were just telling me. I didn't understand that it had already been decided. When I said gently, "Ami, I want to finish my studies first," her face crumpled. Tears filled her eyes immediately. "We have to do this now, Beta," she said. "Your Abu has given his word. They are good people. We can't afford to offend them." When I tried to refuse, my father did not raise his voice. He did not beat me. It was worse than that. He looked at me with such deep disappointment, as if I had betrayed him, as if I had brought shame to the family just by hesitating. "You will not dishonor us," he said. His words closed the door on any argument. In our culture, a girl's yes or no does not always matter. What matters is family, promises, appearances. The engagement happened quickly. I sat next to Hamza in front of dozens of relatives, my hands cold, my heart pounding so loudly I could hardly hear the prayers being recited. He barely spoke to me that day. His mother said, laughing, "A woman doesn't need a man who talks a lot. She needs a man who provides." The wedding was a blur of red, gold, and exhaustion. Guests danced, drums played, the smell of biryani filled the hall. People kept pulling me aside to congratulate me, telling me how lucky I was. I wanted to scream. The first night in Hamza's house, I sat on the edge of the massive bed covered in rose petals, feeling like a prisoner awaiting judgment. Hamza entered without knocking. He didn't ask if I was ready. He didn't speak gently. What happened next was not love, or even passion. It was a transaction, a duty, a taking. I cried silently afterward, but he was already asleep. The months that followed were suffocating. Hamza was not cruel in the way movies show. He didn't beat me black and blue, but he controlled everything: where I went, who I spoke to, what I wore, what I thought. When I mentioned my dream of studying medicine, he laughed. "Your job is here now," he said. "Your job is to be my wife and the mother of my children." His family treated me like a servant. I cooked elaborate meals, scrubbed floors, hosted endless tea parties. Nothing I did was ever enough. When I missed a period and realized I was pregnant, I sat on the bathroom floor for hours, shaking. This life was now permanent. Escape, if it had ever been possible, was over. Sometimes late at night, I would stare at the ceiling fan whirling above me and imagine a different life, a life where I finished medical school, wore a white coat, walked the hospital corridors saving lives, where my name was mine, my decisions were mine, my life was mine. But imagination was dangerous. It made the real world harder to bear. I am still here. I smile in family photos. I clean the compound. I serve tea to guests. I exist. But somewhere inside me, the girl I used to be still sits on that bathroom floor, still hoping that someday, somehow, the world will be different for girls like her. The days turned into months, and the months into years. I became skilled at hiding the emptiness inside me, smiling at the right times, lowering my gaze, nodding when spoken to. I wore the mask so well that even I almost forgot there was still a living soul behind it. But deep inside, a small part of me, the part that had once dreamed of a white coat and saving lives, refused to die. The night that changed everything came quietly. Hamza had gone to Dubai again for work. His absence stretched into months. His family, once so controlling, now viewed me only as a caretaker for the house. I realized then, without Hamza physically here, their grip was weaker. They did not truly care about me, they only cared about appearances. That night, after everyone went to sleep, I packed a small cloth bag, 2 shalwar kameez suits, my original school certificates, hidden for years at the back of a closet, a little cash I had secretly saved from odd sewing jobs. I wrapped my son, barely 3 years old, in a shawl. My heart beat so loud I was sure someone would hear it. I slipped out of the house at midnight. Every sound, the creak of the gate, the barking of a stray dog, the rumble of a distant motorbike, made me flinch. But I kept walking. I had no grand plan. Only one word burned in my mind: Lahore. In Lahore, there were shelters. In Lahore, there was anonymity. In Lahore, there was a chance. At the bus station, the man at the ticket counter stared at me, a woman alone with a small child in her arms at night. In Pakistan, that alone was enough to cause suspicion. "Kahan ja rahi ho, Baji?" he asked casually. "Where are you going, sister?" "Mera bhai ke paas," I lied, "to my brother's house." The bus ride felt endless. I pressed my son against my chest, feeling his small heartbeat against mine. I didn't dare to sleep. What if someone recognized me? What if they dragged me back? When we arrived at Lahore's filthy, noisy terminal, the sun was just beginning to rise. I had memorized the address of a women's shelter from a poster I once saw on a rare trip into town. I had no phone, no GPS, just the memory of a name and a prayer whispered over and over in my heart. It took hours of walking, asking questions, facing suspicious stares, but finally, I stood in front of a small building with cracked paint and an iron gate. Above it, a simple sign: Women's Protection Center. I rang the bell with a trembling hand. When the gate opened, I almost collapsed from relief. Inside, women like me sat on plastic chairs holding babies, staring into cups of tea. A woman in a simple white scarf, the shelter manager, welcomed me without judgment. For the first time in years, someone looked into my eyes, not through me. I told her everything: my forced marriage, my life like a prisoner, my escape. She didn't say shame on you, she didn't say go back to your husband. She simply said, "You're safe now." That night, lying on a thin mattress in a room full of strangers, I cried into my son's hair. I cried for the years I lost, for the girl I used to be, and for the woman I was becoming. I knew the road ahead would not be easy. Divorce proceedings, threats from Hamza's family, judgment from society, all of that was waiting for me. But I was ready, because freedom, even messy, terrifying, uncertain freedom, was better than a gilded cage. Today I am studying again, slowly, through part-time programs. I work at a small clinic. I rent a tiny room in a women's hostel. My son is growing up watching a mother who fights for her life every single day. I am no longer invisible. I am no longer silent. I am me.